What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is sponsored by Gimme Cocktails. Hey golfers, just because golf season is over in New Jersey doesn't mean you can't enjoy a taste of the course. Meet Gimme Cocktails, your favorite drink for any season. Gimme Cocktails is a family-owned business proudly based right here in Monmouth County, New Jersey. They've perfected the blend of premium vodka with either pineapple or lemonade iced tea, enhanced with a touch of effervescence. It's all natural, 7% alcohol, gluten-free, and the ultimate refresher whether you're winding down after a long day or gearing up for your next adventure. Find Gimme Cocktails at any Total Wine location, ShopRite in Middletown, Circus Liquors in Red Bank, and Huddy's in Colts Neck. Whether you're celebrating a win, unwinding after a busy day, or dreaming of next year's tee times, Gimme Cocktails is the perfect drink companion. And don't forget, drink local. When you sip Gimme Cocktails, you're supporting a New Jersey-owned company dedicated to quality and community. Follow them on Instagram at gimme_cocktails or visit gimmecocktails.com to learn more. Cheers to drinking local. Gimme Cocktails. Pick it up. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golf in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coolott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to Interview Thursday. Today we have an amazing guest. We have Keith Stewart, co-founder of Read the Line. He is doing something in golf that really nobody else is doing. He is doing golf betting, which again, everybody is doing. But what he's doing is he's breaking down and selecting winners based on the course, how they're playing, their habits, their tendencies, and he's doing something really that only golf, someone with his knowledge of being a golf professional can do. It's really amazing what he does. In fact, even Mike during the interview, he does it for my game, and how he broke that down kind of gave me chills because he was like, "Okay, you're not good at this, you're not good at that, you play bad at these courses, so I'm going to hammer Mike there." And I was like, yeah, I would hammer Mike there too because A, he's better, B, I don't play those courses well. It really, really cool process that he goes through. It was really very, very fun to have him on. And again, as I think I said earlier already, quite a personality. Like he was lively, even though our interview was early in the morning.
Yeah, listen, I think anytime that you're gambling on sports, obviously you got to be smart in terms of what you're doing. But the reality is we don't know what we're doing. And that's where a guy like Keith steps in. You know, Read the Line, premium golf betting platform. You could subscribe to his page right there at readtheline.com. You could get a subscription. Listen, you want winners. The guy produces. He's energetic. He cares. He seems to always be on site. He's not only doing the PGA Tour, he's doing the LPGA Tour as well. I just think that, listen, when we all think we know, we don't know. Why don't we find a guy that does? Keith is it.
Yeah. Mike, he's selected, I believe he said his number is 37 outright winners in the last 3 years that he's selected. And that number is just crazy high. You're talking about more than 10 winners per year outright. And the PGA Tour has what, 25 tournaments a year? 30 tournaments a year?
40
tournaments a year. So you're looking at, so it's a little more than I thought, but he's still at a 25% winning percentage. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. So again, go check him out. Go check out the interview. Go check out his stuff at Read the Line. Again, just a great dude and really a fun interview. So without further ado, we're going to send you now to our interview with Keith. Enjoy.
All right. So today's guest is one I know that we're all going to enjoy. It's co-founder of Read the Line, Keith Stewart. Keith, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Guys, it's, as a New Jersey golf professional, born and raised, the Drop Podcast. I mean, this is a bucket list item. Let's get after it.
Bucket list item. That is, appreciate that.
We need to cut that bad boy up right there and use that moving forward. I think, listen, before we get into what you do now, obviously this has been a little bit of a journey for you to get to where you are. Give the audience a little bit of a background about you, how you got into the game, and how really Read the Line came about.
Well, I tell you, golf has been a part of my life. Since I was a kid and I was a bag rat. I've been touching golf and country club back in my early teens as a caddy. I mean, we used to play the Monday tour between Echo Lake, Plainfield, Metuchen, all the places we would sneak on, and I just love the game. Now, I'm a little bit older, so I'm pre-Tiger. So if you were playing golf in my time as a kid, it was about the equivalent of being in the band. So you had to really love the game and have a passion for it. So, you know, I got a joke in there early. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
But
great one. I love that
That
one.
is. It's accurate description too.
I mean, yeah, early 90s, with the last name Stewart. And, Payne Stewart was my hero. And, I would tune in to about 90 minutes of golf coverage a week because that was all that was on. People complain nowadays about golf coverage, but back then, there was nothing on. But as a Jersey kid, I love the Garden State. I love playing golf here. I love being a part of it all. I went to school and then I got into the golf business. And the next thing you know, I was working in Boston at a very prestigious club up there called Brayburn. And then I was wintering down in Windermere, Florida at a club called Isleworth. And, that had a huge impact on my life from 98 to 2003. I mean, that was the home of Tiger Woods. So I was a golf professional there for 5 years and got to see kind of the golf boom take place in Orlando. So you're talking about the Golf Channel and a million different training aids and everything that kind of, everyone that was hopping on the Tiger bandwagon from a business point of view. And it taught me a lot of valuable lessons about, and I always thought to myself, as a golf professional, if there was ever another golf boom, then I would know what to do. I saw some best practices and I saw where people also, took a couple missteps. So fast forward 20 years, I've still been a golf professional. I most recently was there in Princeton at Springdale Golf Club. I was there, director of fun, self-appointed. I'm not big into titles, so we could talk about that at another time. But I was the head pro and then the director of golf. And if it got any more nauseating, I just couldn't take it. So I hung a sign called the director of fun over my door. And as the director of fun, I always looked at different ways to try to grow the game, God forbid, and all due respect to Greg Norman. But at the end of the day, my thing was my why statement as being a golf professional here in the Garden State was like, and, all of my peers and many of them have been on your show, like John Mascari and all those guys and the different golf leaders of the state. I always, kind of took the road less traveled, as a New Jersey author, Robert Frost, right? And it's made all the difference. So I looked at things a little bit sideways and I said, man, how can I change the narrative around the game? And I went to a place like a Top Golf and that really kind of blew my mind. I mean, they did everything wrong there. They were never open up in the morning. Right. So all the ball hitters and everything, all the psychopaths that were always at my doorstep at like 5 a.m. in the morning. They played music. They were having fun. They're serving chicken wings. I'm like, man, golf, where's the rules? Where's this? And, kind of opened my mind to what could be possible. And I came up with this idea for Read the Line. And I said, this is now post 2018 as all of this is taking place. And PASPA was repealed by the government. And Chris Christie pushed hard for us to be the first betting state. We were a day later than Delaware, but I mean, we were there, and we've come at it, full force since then. And I built this company in and around golf betting called Read the Line. And I cover the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour from a betting perspective. And when COVID, made golf absolutely boom, probably triple what Tiger did back in the late 90s. And a lot of things like social media and what you guys do and the message you deliver has helped facilitate all of that. It was the perfect time to step away from green grass. I always felt like, frost delays will be there forever. Like I could always go back to them, I got to go try this thing.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do. And 3.5 years ago, I built my company and together with my co-founder, David, and he and I have come together and basically as a business strategy, rather than, sit in my mom's basement and yell about Excel spreadsheets on Twitter, I travel as a PGA professional to golf events, whether they be the PGA Tour or the LPGA Tour, and I handicap from on site. And to date, it's been very successful and it's been a whole lot of fun. And, I'm living out my why statement, which is I'm changing the narrative around the game and getting more fans excited about golf in general.
What a journey. Oh man, it's early in the morning and I'm excited right now.
There's a lot to unpack, you know?
That is a lot to unpack. So how does this? So this starts 2018, you said, or 3 years ago is when you kind of packed up the.
So after when COVID hit and then
Oh,
golf went
COVID. That's right. Yeah.
absolutely crazy, right?
Yeah.
At the end of 2020, I walked away from Greengrass and I built the company in 2021. We went live in 2022, and so we've had 3 full seasons now of predicting winners, and we've been fairly successful.
So I want to ask about the early stages. Like you get
Okay.
going on this early. You jumped on. You leave your job. You're starting this. You're building this. Like what is it like? Like how many sleepless nights did you have? Because like you got to take flights to these places, or you got to get to places. You got to stay. Like you got to worry about funding. You got to worry about like are people going to care? What is all that like? All that encompass in the beginning stages there?
That's a great Ryan. That's a great question. I've never been asked that before. I'm like Lewis and Clark without the Clark, to be honest with you. I mean, everywhere I go, it's like tip of the spear. This is an emerging market, and I know. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the NFL and there's hundreds of billions of dollars in total handle that is bet on sports and everything. But golf's a late adoption sport. In a Gladwell sense, I mean, we're still far from the tipping point on a lot of things that are very, very active in other sports. Especially when it comes to technology and different things. I know, everyone will say like, oh, we have TrackMan, like, yeah, come on, stop, like,
Good for you.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Right. So, when it first started out and we went live and we built the website and we started to deliver handicapping information. And then I went to the PGA Tour to become credentialed, and I wanted to become a credentialed member of the PGA Tour. So it was like, when I first got there, they didn't know what to do with me because I had to say what I was there for. Who were you reporting for? So the first year I was reporting for Read the Line. No one had ever heard of it. I had to be brave, right? Like we have these words and they come out like this time of year, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, like pride, brave, courage, cry, passion, like these ends up being like punchlines all the time during the summer at a barbecue. But like this time of the year, they come in a Christmas card. But like, for me, those are the types of emotions that I had to live out, like in a Jimmy V like type sense, like I had to go out and I had to like figure out where the media hotel was, how to get to the media center, how to do all of these things. It's been a huge part of my journey to actually get credentialed and become a member of the media pit, and the scrum and everything. And to have everyone now that when I go there to a place like, my last trip was RSM, but the last fun trip I really did was up to Montreal for the President's Cup. So I covered that. But to be there and have the players know why I'm there and who I am as kind of like the Adam Schefter or insider of golf, trying to figure out what's going on with these guys, what's going on with their coaches, what the course conditions are like, reporting on all of these things. It's a little bit Brent Musburger, a little Jimmy the Greek back in the day, reporting on the weather.
Jimmy the Greek. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm Irish Scottish, but you get the analogy. But at the end of the day, yeah. But like at the end of the day, like your question is really warranted. There still are sleepless nights, like, and I'm not talking about that in a betting sense. I'm talking about that in building a business. I mean, this is a marketplace. In 2022, about $7.5 billion with a B were bet on golf. In 2023, that number jumped to $10.5 billion. Right. Whoa. Yet really, there is no one that does what I do. Right. You see it a lot on Twitter. And if all you do is follow golf betting on Twitter or just follow golf Twitter, I mean, it's such a small microcosm for the world. I mean, yes, there's thousands of people there, but there's billions of people on the planet. Right. Like it's such a huge industry and it's saving the sports industry, the sports business industry. If you look at the way that marketing and all of that is working nowadays, I mean, single-handedly, FanDuel, DraftKings, and all of those companies, ESPN Bet now emerging. I mean, like all of these companies are basically pumping the money in that is allowing these live sports to really carry on and provide the types of coverage that we all expect in 2024 and now looking forward to 2025. So it's been really neat to be a part of this, to talk to executives at NBC, CBS, and ESPN, but then also to be on the front lines in a company of two that is out there every week trying to create a product and been doing it now for 3 straight years and providing consistent, accurate analysis.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I do. It's especially in the world that we live in, that everybody has $1 or $2 on something. The idea that now it could be on a sport that we all love to play on top of it is even better. Why don't you give the audience a little bit about your process, how you operate, how you go about deciding, like, you know what, I think this guy is going to win this week? Because, I mean, your history speaks for itself, and your record speaks for itself, that if people don't know, they got to go check that out. But what is that process like for you?
I get the process question all the time. So
Yeah.
it's
I
because
think
it's
it's an interesting one.
Oh, it very much is because those that are listening to this obviously are avid New Jersey golfers, so they've heard my voice before. They've heard me when I hosted the Pro Show on ESPN Radio for 5 years. I mean, they've heard me a million times over, and they know I have a million sayings. Well, I came up with this saying for a long time as I've been betting on golf, which is that odds are like sucker pins. Right. And what does that mean? It means that on Mondays, when the odds drop happens, there you go, the drop, pun intended, right? For you guys.
Love it. Love it.
You know,
Love it.
yeah, throw that in a sound bite,
Yep.
make it your
Cut that one up.
ringtone, whatever you
Cut
want,
that
right?
up.
So when that odds drop happens, if the first thing you do is run to that, I mean, you're basically standing in front of David Blaine on a New York City street. I mean, like they have you in the palm of their hand, like you're done. You have got to start to look at where they're playing, who is playing, and what it takes in order to be successful, contend, and then thus ultimately win. But you don't just always have to pick winners. You can pick top fives, top tens. You can pick head-to-heads. There's a million different props, and we could talk about why golf betting is, basically so popular. But to answer your question, my process starts with the golf course. Where are we going that week for the LPGA Tour and the PGA Tour? What is the design of that golf course? Now, this goes back into my PGA background, and I'm still a PGA professional, even though, I'm not dotting scorecards these days. I still hold that rank because it is super important to me, and it also defines who I am as a human being. So I look at the golf course, I look at the agronomy, I look at the architecture, and I start to come up with, okay, if Mike or Ryan were my players, and we're going to play the New Jersey State Open, and we are going to Somerset Hills or something. Okay, fine. So I'm coaching you guys as a PGA coach. We need to talk about what you need to do well in order to play good. And that's what I do when we're walking into Bay Hill or we're walking into Riviera. So I look at the golf course and I break all of that down. And in my mind, because I've been out on tour now for a number of years, and we've all watched enough golf, that with my educated eye from teaching all those years and playing golf professionally, that, I understand what it takes in order to do certain things. And then who is good at those things? And I come up with a short list of maybe 15 golfers that are in the field of whether it's a signature event with 70 or 156 in the US Open. And then I take that list and then I start to look at, okay, based upon the characteristics, this is my core group of guys. Now I've got to narrow that down. I can't bet 15 people, right? I'm looking to bet maybe anywhere from 3 to 5, 4 to 6 guys for the week in order to win, or women if it's an LPGA event. Then the next step is that, okay, are these guys, do they have history here? Are they horses for courses, right? So these 15 are now, that list is going to get quickly cut in about half, because you'll be surprised. They're like some really good golfers that aren't good at certain golf courses. And if you use this methodology, then instantly you kind of get it. You're like, oh yeah, you need to be really good around the green here. And that's just not Victor Hovland's cup of tea. But man, is he really good with a long iron, right? So like you start to balance these things out. Now I've got about 8 names, maybe 7, 8, 9 names. And then from there, well, how are they playing recently? Right. So now I'm about the 4th stage of like Dante's Inferno, like going down the spiral. Right. Okay. So now I'm at the 4th stage, and here's where the data starts to come into play. And here's where strokes gained, and you start to look at things and you say, okay, well, you need to be really good at this. Is Victor Scotty's good at everything, but like, is Rory really good at this? Or, I'm looking further down the board. Is Shane Lowry really good at this? Or is Wyndham Clark really good at this? And is he good at it lately? Right? Let's look at the last 24 rounds. Now I've got that list down pretty tight. So by the 5th stage in my process, here's where I look at the odds. Because if I just went to the odds first, if it was a Monday and I took out my phone and I put it in front of you guys, your eyes would be instantly drawn to who you think of at, I don't know, the Farmers Insurance, Torrey Pines. You'd be like, oh, Torrey Pines. You got to be long there. Here we go. Oh, Max Homa. He's going to be at like a really kind of interesting number that's going to catch your eye. You're going to be drawn right to it. And then little do you know, you're like, wait, Max hasn't gained with the driver since like, my son turned 15. Well, he's driving now, so like that's not a good thing. So like, we're like, oh man, like maybe that's not the thing to do. But like, your eyes are going to be drawn to that. You're going to be drawn to Zalatoris. You're like, man, is he back from back surgery or not? I don't know. But like, so if you just go to the odds board, you're going to get suckered in. If you go about the process like a golf professional would, if I was preparing for my own tournament or I was preparing you guys as my students in the metaphor that I gave, then, like that's how the process takes place. And I don't have a problem sharing that, because until you're willing to go, scrub hooks for the next 30 years and see what I've seen at a golf course, right? There's no way you're going to catch up. So you might as well just subscribe.
No, it's true. There's maybe a limited number of people in the world who could do what you do. And obviously they're not willing to put in the time that you're willing to put in to do this, right? Because you've got the background knowledge on the golf side, the instruction, how a swing works, right? And you got all of that golf professional. And then you got, with that, you also have the golf course and the agronomy, like you said. So yeah, there's can't be many people who could do that. You have such a unique skill set that it's just you've found the perfect niche for you.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
and I mean, winning doesn't hurt. So
no, it's funny that you say it, because I was talking. Mike and I talk a lot. But like this year, we really got more in tuned with golf course architecture, and I love Donald Ross courses. I think they're beautiful. He's a Mount Rushmore golf course designer. He's fantastic. Right. Maybe, but I'm saying he's in that echelon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked more than half my career at Donald Ross golf courses. So, I mean, you had me at hello.
I can tell you that I'm playing terrible at those golf courses. I'm not going to play well. I can appreciate everything that's there. I mean, we talk about like.
All right, wait. So hang on for a second, Ryan. To that point, right? The reason you play bad at those golf courses, because Ross has tendencies, is that you need to work on your short game. That's guaranteed number one, right?
Which
also,
is bad.
too.
So
yeah, and probably the second thing is that you have a tough time hitting the ball pin high. Right. So you probably come up short a lot to your target. There's a lot of false fronts. So which then also puts pressure on your short game. And then when you start to learn that lesson throughout the course of the round, then you start hitting it a little bit longer, and almost all of his push-up greens are sloped back to front. So those trends are never going to change, because the earth isn't moving. Right. So unless you fix your game, or you're going head to head against Mike, and I know Mike has a really good short game, I am just smashing. Right, yeah. Mike, every round against you live head to head.
I could, but I'd say, and then I'd say the opposite. Like, I do play well at Tillinghast courses, because for whatever reason, like, again, he doesn't have the false fronts. It doesn't. I don't think it requires as tough around the greens, and like. You just broke down exactly what you do for my game, and we have it. That was incredible. I can't believe it. We just got to witness that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. You look at that, and not many people could do that, And I think that's incredible that you're doing that.
Well, thank you. It's there's 30,000 of us out there that are doing our very best to keep the game as popular as it is. I do it in one particular way, and this was something that I came up with. Like I said, to change the narrative around the game. If people knew how much fun it was to bet on golf. Right. And here's the irony of it all. It is the fabric of the game. Right.
100%.
I mean, if you and I, if the three of us went and go to play in a basketball league or a softball league or whatever, we don't walk up to the softball park and then go to the other team and say, all right, so we're all playing for $10 each today. Right. No. Right. We keep score, we play, and there's a league and there's standings, and that's it. And then there's a trophy at the end. But every time we go and play golf, the betting window opens on the tee. Right. Yeah. And then we talk about it, and then the betting window closes, and then here we go. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 cents or $10 or 10,000, right? Like it is literally the fabric of the game. So when you talk about building a business in and around this, it's so easy for me to get people, animated and engaged and excited about doing this, because once you have that emotional connection to a player and you've gone through a Sunday sweat, God forbid it was Rory this year at the US Open or something like that. That moment in time, those sweats, right, on a Sunday afternoon are why we love to play it so much. But you can't play it every minute of every day, but you can have that at home. You can have it in your phone when you're somewhere else. Man, it is just the absolute best, and why I love so much what I do.
So when it comes to looking at the board pre-tournament, all right, the board comes out, you get the chance. Knowing what Scotty does every single week, right? And you see his odds at one point start at maybe plus 300. And before you know it, at times it could just come down to a straight pick 'em where it's Scotty versus the field, similar to probably what it was back in Tiger's heyday if you really ventured back to 2000s.
Yeah.
How do you sit there as a person doing what you do and say, you know what? How am I betting on anybody else?
Well, you brought up at the start of this question, the odds board really is, you have to look for opportunities. Everyone thinks betting is about winning. It's not. To me, betting is about winning money. Right. So yes, it's nice that over the last 3 seasons, I picked 37 outright winners before the tournament started between the men and the
Which is
women.
insane.
Okay.
Insane when you think of a field to say you could pick a winner like that. Insane.
Yeah. So 37 times, right? Of that, I've dodged a lot of Scotty bullets and I've lost a lot of times to Scotty. The one Scotty win I have this year is that I parlayed him and Nelly together and we won 30-1. But otherwise, every Scotty odds, once he started at Bay Hill, were under 5-1 in all the majors. And that's just not worth it against the best players in the world. And people say, well, what do you mean by worth it, Keith? Well, when that money line comes out, and if you're not sure what that is, everyone, I'm still a PGA pro, so I still teach for a living, right? So that money line is that plus minus number, everyone, right? If it's a minus number, then that person is favorited. If it's a plus number, then they're the underdog. The higher that plus number, the less of the chance of something happening. So when you see somebody like Scotty at plus 500, and then you see Shane Lowry at plus 5,000, 50-1 versus 5-1, you know what the chances are, So it's one of those things where when it comes to Scotty, you have to look for creative ways like I did with Nelly that one time, or you're going to bet him in markets like top 5 every single week. Or, even the odds when it comes to head-to-head and live betting. If you love Aaron Judge and it's the summertime, Aaron Judge hits a home run tonight and you might bet Scotty to win the tournament. These are realistic things that happen a lot, and it's calculated risk, right? But to just take Scotty versus the field, unless it's Augusta, it's a tough one, going into Augusta, I get this question. They're like, Keith, who should I bet on? Right. And I write the power rankings for Golf Digest. Right. So I rank everyone in the field going into Augusta, and I have all the different chances, and I come up with my own betting card, and it does not include Scotty. Right. So I'm just not going to bet him at that number, which means that I think the odds are too short. Right. So if I bet him at 4.5-1 and I want to bet 3 other people, I basically only make 1.5. Yes, folks, you lose on the others when Scotty wins. Right. And it's the net number. Right. It's not about winning.
Yeah.
It's about winning money.
Right. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Correct. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Right. But then fast forward to Pinehurst, I was like, you know what? I think we can go against Scotty here. Right. And the reason being is that his superpower was hitting irons. Well, everyone at Pinehurst, once you got on property there and you saw how crusty it was like, oh man, everyone's going to hit the middle of every green, and that's a putting contest, not Scotty's forte. And as such, we faded him at Pinehurst, and we did well there, right? He finished 41st. So you went down to different road. You have to really look for your opportunities when you're at somebody like Scotty. See, I lived through the Tiger years, and the really bad years were 07, 08, where the end of 07, Tiger wins 5 times in 6 starts. And then he starts out 08. He goes to Torrey, and he's even money, guys, against a field of 155, right? So he's the 156 guy. He hasn't played since he won his last event, which was probably the Hero, right, at that point in the year. He comes back at Torrey like he always did, flowing robes, the trumpets, everything. He walks out on the cliffs, paragliders are out there, and he's going to win again, right? He was even money against a full field of PGA Tour pros, right? What does he do? He wins. All right, where are we going next? By the time he gets to Bay Hill, he was a negative number. He was minus 110 to win a golf tournament, right? So Scotty's still got a little ways to go, but man, he could get there at this. If he puts up another year this year, he's going to go into Augusta, right, as almost even money, which is insane to think about when you look at the caliber of talent that is going against him. It's pretty wild, but you got to get creative with Scotty. There's really no black and white answer here. You've got to look at every situation, Mike, and you've got to come up with some strategy with which either to deal with him or to bet him. And if you bet him, then that card is going to be really, really short. And then my advice would be once the golf tournament starts, I would live head-to-head bet and try to, once you see kind of the theme of the tournament taking place, is it the weather that's taking over this week? Is it the golf course? Is it the greens? Whatever it is, then like who's kind of like, who didn't we expect to kind of work their way up the leaderboard? And then those guys, then we just hammer those guys. And then that's how you try to survive for the week. And then you move on to the next week, and hopefully Scotty's not playing.
Yeah, it is.
How long does this process take you? Like, are you starting it, are you like how in football they're scouting teams like 2-3 weeks ahead? Are you ahead, or like once Sunday ends, you start Monday for that week's tournament? Like how long is it taking you to put this together?
Well, if there's one thing the LPGA and the PGA Tour are good at, or professional golf is good at, it's a lot of it, right? So it's really difficult. And I'm a handicapper of one, right? I'm a team of one. My business partner takes care of the business side of things, right? Like, so I am the right side of the brain, right? I am the creative. I am out all the time traveling and watching tour players and everything. So when they are practicing, that is when I learn the most, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when I'm on site, I'm learning the most, I'm creating the most content. That's what I'm doing. By the time I hit Thursday and then they go out and play, I will watch them play also. But then those are the afternoons and evenings where I spend now looking at next week's Monday.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. If it's a major, because I have to create such things like I have to rank 156 players for the US Open, those start weeks in advance. But again, some of those fields aren't set, but the top of them are, and I know. But to answer your question, Ryan, it's literally like usually the Thursday before it gets deep into it, and then by Sunday, I'm just like heavily anticipating the odds drop on Monday morning.
Yeah. Okay. It's just super interesting to see like that whole process play out. It really is.
And then
it's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And then obviously as golf and all the things are kind of evolving, like every week or every year, there's a different new prop bet, or there's different things in terms of like kind of staying ahead. Like, what are you guys doing there at Read the Line besides just picking winners? Is there focus a lot on top fives or top tens or things along those lines that is not always just fixated on the winner?
I'm glad you asked that question, because every week we supply like a full card for the LPGA and the PGA Tour. And what I mean by that is that, yes, there is an outright card, and outright is picking the winner right before the tournament starts, who is the outright winner. And then there will be also a list of prop bets. So there'll be a top 10, top 20s, top 40s. There might be low South American. There might be low South Korean. I generally don't go after, like hole-in-ones and things like that. Those are, again, sucker bets. Even if they are at TPC Sawgrass, like how many balls in the water, stuff like that. Like it makes for great content, but we're about winning money. So it goes back to my Scottish roots and my kilt. I'm generally pretty conservative over the course of the year. Like, so to give you an example, last year I predicted 1,296 individual bets through Read the Line. So almost 1,300 individual bets. And anyone, if they bet every single one of those, which I don't expect, but if they bet a large majority of those, but if you bet every single one, which I track, right, we had a 15.1% net return. So for every $100 you gave me, I would have given you 115 back months later, right? It takes a while to do this. You can't just pick one, load the gun, and then fire it at the tournament. You have to do this over the course of periods of the season. And what we do is that we diversify the card. There'll be head-to-heads, there'll be props, and there will be outrights for the men and the women the start of every week. And then once the tournament starts and we assess what happened on Thursday, there'll be a live card on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to either make more money, make up for the mistakes that we've made. It's hard. I'm wrong more than I'm right. You guys have been very nice to introduce me. Like, I'm coming at this with straight sorcery, but at the end of the day, yes, we make money, but I picked 11 winners this year, and there were a lot of tournaments. Just so happens that a lot of them, were very heavy odds, and we do that often, and that's how we make money. But like at the end of the day, it was a tough year this year facing Scotty and all the other different things. And the rest of the card is what really, and when you subscribe to Read the Line, and it's a nominal fee. It's $99 a year, right? And it pays for itself by the end of Q1 for sure. You don't have to wait long for that. And if you do that, then you get those cards every week, and they get delivered every Wednesday morning to your inbox, and they're there. And then you just go through it, and you have to do all of that. Let me do the research, right? Let me be the golf pro. It would be like trying to take a university course in TrackMan to go take a golf lesson. Forget that. No one's got time for that. Right? You know, like at the end of the day, come take a golf lesson from a PGA pro. We understand how the TrackMan works. We will filter that to you. I am the filter. I've been doing this my whole career. I just now do it in a different genre. And that's what I do. And I give it to you, and it's there every week.
Were you always a big gambler? Like you said, golf is naturally around gambler, but are you one of those guys that like, on the first tee, hey, we're playing for this, okay, and then middle of the fairway, bet you don't hit the green, and then on the fairway, right, $5 you missed that putt. Like, is that your MO? Are you like big money guy? Is that like how we grew up?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom, all right. So my mom will love that. If she listens to this, which she probably will, because she lives in the Garden State, Did you hear they're changing the state bird? Did you guys hear this?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they're changing the state bird. It's going to be a drone. No. So when I was in 8th grade, I got sent to the principal's office because I was dealing 3-card money in the recess parking lot. So yeah, I mean, guilty as charged. I'm not an in-your-face guy about anything. I love to have a great time, director of fun. I love the game of golf. It has done wonders for my family in a million different ways. This is my way of giving back. I understand that, gambling is not for everyone, but it is a form of entertainment. And I'm providing education and entertainment to the people that follow me and are nice enough to subscribe and are members of my betting community. And if you ask them, I think they're having a good time.
Well, yeah, I think anytime that you're winning money, no doubt. And I think that's the one thing about gambling too, though, in terms like there are streaks, just like sports, just like life, just like regular business. There's times where things are really hot and there's times when things are struggling. But I think when you're able to look at a full body of work from one day to the end, if I'm finishing up plus money and I have a strategy and I stick to it, you're going to be beneficial, because I hear the stories all the time. Like, oh, I bet 10 grand on this and now I'm down and now I'm betting only. Whereas if you have a set number that you bet things at and you stay consistent with your money, then you'll make it. But if you start trying to do crazy things, then you're just not going to be successful.
I mean, no truer words were ever said. If you don't go in every week with a budget to betting, then I haven't done my part as a PGA professional to give you guys a good PSA. You got to go in every week and just say, I'm going to bet $50 a week, the $50 this week on the Texas Open. It just, I'm going to bet, it's a major, it's the Masters, it's my favorite tournament. I'm going to bet $100 this week. Figure out where the 100 goes. Because if you just start, and they'll say, I'm betting $5 bets, Keith. Yeah. Next thing you know, they had $300 in their DraftKings account. And you've put in 60 bets and you're like, but this guy could do this. And this guy could be low South American. And this guy could do, like next thing you know, they're like, how did I get to 0? You're like, no, you got to start with a number in mind. And I'm really happy you said that, Mike, because it's super important to the process.
And I say that because I've lived it. I've ventured down the rabbit hole where I've been big into it, and I've rode the highs and I've dug out of the lows. And I think that's one of the things, especially the younger generation, because they see how much you can make. They see how accessible it is. They just don't understand limits, or they don't understand budgets, and they don't understand what their bets are. They just think they like something. They throw X amount of money on it and it doesn't hit. And they're like, oh, you suck. You don't know what you're doing. But there's no money management that goes involved in that.
No, there's not.
You know what? I could always tell when I'm interacting with someone online about Read the Line, whether or not they're a golfer. If they're not a golfer and they're just a golf bettor, right? They go at it like full force, right? Like there's no research needed. I can figure this out. I can do it. It's no problem, right? If they're a golfer and they've toiled on the range, they know that it's hard. Like it might be the hardest game ever, right? So like they appreciate that. And when they look at golf betting, they treat it with a little bit more respect.
Understatement.
Yeah.
Understatement.
It needs to be, because as Mike said, it's a slippery slope between like that high that you get from betting, from and wanting to chase it. It really can be again, slippery slope is the best way to describe it, I think.
Yep. So I do want to kind of let you give a little plug here where people can find you, because I do know that's a question that people hear, or they say to us all the time, like, oh, well, who do you think's going to win this event? And Ryan and I can toss out random people and maybe get lucky here or there, or we can give our 2 cents. but clearly you're the educated one here. Where can the audience go find? Where can they subscribe? Where can they get all this good info?
I mean, the hub of all of it is readtheline.com. You could go there. If we're doing our job, I mean, there's a subscribe button right at the top right. You just click on that. You can start for free. You'll get the betting narratives every week when they come out. The Century, once again, the PGA Tour. I mean, they love themselves. We're starting in the middle of, college bowl season, but we're going to do it. January 2nd, we have trade winds and Mark Rolfing and whale watching. We're going. The Century starts, like a week or so from now. I mean, I don't know when you guys are going to pump this out, but like it could be the same day. I don't know, but like it's January 2nd is the start of the PGA Tour. So go to readtheline.com while you're sitting at home, and you're watching Christmas Vacation for the 100th time. Just click on there, join for free. You'll get a betting narrative. When the ladies start up in late January, you'll get 2 betting narratives a week. And what's most interesting about that, if you're a fan of golf, okay, go back to my why statement, right? I want to create a better. Right. I say this all the time in my videos, right? So you can go to social media, follow, read the line. You go to Instagram, you go to TikTok. We do it all, right? I mean, it's all just there. It's easy enough to find in 2024, heading into 2025. But the point is that my why statement is that when you read the way that I look at a golf tournament and then you go watch it and you consume it, you will enjoy it more. That I can guarantee. I can't guarantee winning, although we do it a lot. I can guarantee that I'm going to put a spin on it that you would not have thought of. And it will happen every single year for the same tournament. So it'll feel much less like Groundhog Day. And what's important about that is that when you look at golf media right now, and with all due respect to what you guys are doing, I love what you're doing, but it's a sea of similarity, right? Whether it's no laying up or it's the PGA Tour and the messages that everyone's sending. Xander Schauffele goes out, he shoots 62, he comes into the interview room, and everybody sits there and they run to him and they go, Xander, how did you do that? And then they all write an article about it. And then the next morning you get 8 million newsletter emails that are basically that sea of similarity with some sort of try to spin it, whether it's Golf Week, Golf Digest, golf.com, whoever it may be, right? The Friday, all these different folks, right? They're all just trying to tell the same story. Like I never chase those guys down because nobody cares what I think about yesterday. The only reason they follow me is they want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So I put the pro in proactive and I create media that is forward facing and is thinking about the future. And as such, yes, I take tremendous risks. But with my background as a golf professional and my ability to really kind of analyze these things and break them down succinctly and then project them out to everybody, I think that you would digest a golf tournament in a completely different fashion. And it would create a paradigm shift that we're working with the networks in order how to cover golf tournaments, right? I mean, like everyone complains about the coverage. There's not enough golf shots. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. There's only 2 types of people that watch a PGA Tour event. My dad taking a nap and the people that are betting on it. And that's a fact. Okay. Look at the numbers, right? The coverage numbers are there. When you start to talk about the people that are most interesting to that second group, and I know who everyone is betting on because I see the numbers from the different books, right? Oh my goodness, we're at the Masters and there's a huge number on JT to top 10. And guess what? He's right on that number on Sunday. We need to show every single JT shot. And you know what? All of a sudden it'd be like the Jedi mind trick. Everyone that's watching that would be like, oh my God, this was the best coverage ever. Yeah, because you were all wanting to watch that, right? Scotty was winning by 4. Yes, I know we have to show Scotty, but like, get rid of him, right? All those guys that were sitting on those top 10s, top 20s, and all of that, all those like major head-to-head matchups. Who was Tiger against? All of those things. You start to pump those into coverage, and we're going to do it, right? At the risk of sounding like Trump or something like that, we're going to do it, right? We're going to get there. Right.
I think it's a great idea because I think you can have your traditional coverage on CBS for the dad that wants to watch us taking a nap. But for the other folk that want to watch you versus me head to head, shot by shot, God, I'd be addicted. It'd be probably a bad thing for me.
I mean, and golf is the perfect cadence, meaning timing, meaning speed with which to be able to do it in a broadcast. It's very difficult to do in other sports. They move way too fast, but those sports will evolve once we lead the way. So to go back to your other question, right? How do I do this? How do I am just myself 3 years ago, I went out alone doing this. How do I have the courage to do this? Right? Well, I think someone has to, right? If Columbus was like Kyrie Irving and thought the earth was flat, we all wouldn't be here, right? The fact of the matter is that somebody has to do it. And I'm not trying to be a martyr or something like that. I just love golf. And this is the best way I know to give back to it, guys. Right. And I think we can do it. And I think we can reverse all of those numbers, and we can make things like TNT's the match and all that other stuff, and TGL and live and all of these things. They can coexist, and we can make them so much better and so much more fun to watch. And that's where I'm heading in 2025.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I started the interview with like, I'm ready to run through a wall, and we're ending it with I'm ready to run through a wall.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Indiana basketball, right? Yeah.
But listen, I can't thank you enough, man. I truly do. I know at times it could be chaotic in terms of scheduling for us and whatnot, trying to find common dates, but getting you on, talking to you, it's been a blast. And I can't help but tell everybody, go check it out, readtheline.com. You will not be disappointed there.
Well, I tell you what, if I did you a favor today, you guys got to do me a solid sometime this year. When I'm at an event and we're in the media center and the buzz is happening, right? And it doesn't have to be Scotty getting arrested or anything like that, although that was a wild day, right? But like when it's happening, right, you got to have me back on the show. We got to talk about this during a live tournament, right? And I will really get Ryan to run through a brick wall.
I would love to see that.
You can send
that. Make it happen.
We will.
We'll make that happen. We'll make it happen. We'll find a day and get it out there on a Thursday. We'll push it Tuesday to Thursday.
Yeah. Hey,
that'd be great.
Keith, thank you so much for coming on. This was great. I'm looking forward to that, and this was incredible. Really appreciate it.
Well, hey guys, Merry Christmas to both of you. And if you ever have any betting questions, off pod, by all means, now that we've met, reach out anytime. I'm proud to have been a part of the Garden State's #1 golf podcast.
Appreciate that.
And we have a lot of cut-ups.
Yeah,
we have a lot of cut-ups from this thing. We got a lot of cut-ups for this.
It's not my first rodeo, boys.
No, it's not. Appreciate it. Good luck this season.
All right. Thanks so much. You as well. And I'm sure our paths will cross soon. Happy holidays.